President, if anyone wishes to speak on any of our items, please fill out an appearance card. I know we have a couple filled out already. Our first item is going to be a request from Senator Broder for an audit for the city of Winter Springs. Senator Broder, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members of the committee. As somebody who is the first one to go this year, we'll set some ground rules on this. I don't intend for this to be exhaustive. The outcome here that I would like would be a positive vote to move forward for the Auditor General to take a further look at the city. And so without needing, clear and convincing or a preponderance of evidence, we're just looking for some probable cause here that maybe we need to look at a little further. So the city of Winter Springs is in my districts. It is a city, it is one of the 7 municipalities in Seminole County. Of the dozen that I have, it is among the smallest, and it is a city where I grew up. It's got 38,000 residents and has outsourced a lot of what it does. So one of the unique hallmarks about the city of Winter Springs is that its tax base is 90% residential and 10% commercial. It's the most upside down I've ever seen. And as such, it is a most important service it provides to its citizens or its water and wastewater treatment. And so over the years, we have had a lot of comments. I think of the dozen cities I have, 99% of my municipal complaints come from this one city on a bit of a contract for a private contractor to operate its water treatment plant. We have had some discharges that were unlawful, that were fined. DEP put them under a consent decree. After that, you got into water supply issues, and so there was an issue with the homeowners association as to who had rights to an artesian well. That was disputed by the city. Ultimately, St. John's has determined that there's no evidence that the city has any claim to it. That created a crisis around whether there was safe enough water and what we were doing with it. That led to the city, even though it had a marketing manager, hiring a company for $200,000 to tell the residents everything was okay, despite the fact that there were bids that came in for $45,000 and $75,000. They went with the $200,000 bid. And with a city of 38,000 people, clearly everything is personal. Everyone knows everyone. And so what I would like is, I have 290 pages of stuff. My phone calls this afternoon will most likely be from people who said, you didn't even mention my issue. Because there's a lot going on. And so all I would like from the committee is permission to go have a third-party independent adult just say, what are we doing? Are the contracts kosher? When they hired the Veolia to operate the city's water treatment plant, it tried to get rammed through the first time, according to the tapes, when it was pointed out by citizens and critics that they had not done a bid contract. They went with an RFQ instead of an RFP. Also curious, if it's legal, it's legal. But I need somebody from the outside of this area to just go in, and so I can say to everybody that complains, we looked at it and it's fine, or we looked at it and here's the corrective action plan. Either way, if I went in and did it, somebody would say, well, you're aligned with them. If somebody else went and did it, you'd say, well, you're aligned with them. Nobody's aligned with anybody. I want safe water and wastewater, and I want somebody to operate the plant for a good amount. We have tried to do it the regular way. Regular way is you would make some public records requests. It just so happens the former chairman of the county commission is a resident of the city of Winter Springs, a very sober individual, former partner at a global law firm who did construction litigation his entire career and ran the county, and simply said, you have made public statements with regard to how much it's going to cost to fix the water treatment plant. I know the city's finances. Where are you getting the money? And he was told that it would be over $1,000 to answer his public records request. And so somebody knows something and just doesn't want anybody else to know. The last thing I'll point out is it's on page 9 of your staff analysis, is that in the last 3 years, we've lost the city manager. We're on our 3rd police chief. We've had the resignation of the city clerk of 24 years. We're on our 3rd finance director, our 3rd parks director, our 3rd public works director, our 4th community development director, our 3rd city engineer. We've lost multiple arborists. We're down to 1 IT staff, and the city water and wastewater has now been outsourced. So somebody knows something, and I can't do it because it's too personal. And so just have somebody go in and ask, because my residents would like clean water, clean wastewater, and to stop all the kind of sniping back and forth.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you, Senator Broder, for that. I was wondering if you could read into record the 6 points on page 2 of the analysis here. Just read into the record.
Sure.
What you're requesting the Auditor General to do.
Great idea. Thank you very much. And so what we're requesting would be a minimum include a report on the compliance with Florida law and the city's policies relating to wastewater disposal and environmental protection and testing of documentation for such operations as deemed appropriate. This is consistent with the consent decree from DEP that they had done after the spill. Second thing is compliance with Florida law and the city policies relating to third-party contracting, specifically related to contracts for wastewater disposal, environmental protection, and marketing, and testing of documentation for such contracts as deemed appropriate. This would handle our issue with the RFQ versus RFP. The third thing I would like would be compliance with Florida law and city policies relating to the 2017 Central Florida Water Initiative, specifically compliance with state law regarding consumptive use permits and testing of documentation for such permitting as deemed necessary. The Central Florida Water Initiative requires that all Central Florida municipalities and the 3 different water management districts work on a plan to decrease their consumption so that we have enough in Central Florida going forward. It is a multi-party, multi-municipality agreement, and we want to make sure that the city is complying with that initiative that is now in state law as of 2021, and iron out exactly who has rights to that consumptive use permit that was deemed 1 million gallons per day by the folks at the Parkstone Homeowners Association. The fourth thing that should be in the report is compliance with Florida law and the city's policies relating to public records requests and testing of documentation for such requests as deemed appropriate. If the former county commission chairman asks for a spreadsheet, it probably shouldn't cost $1,500. The fifth thing I would like would be review of the city's internal controls over wastewater disposal, environmental protection, and third-party contracting. We want to avoid the fish kill that happened and was documented on the local news affiliates and on TV, and so we want documentation of that. And the sixth thing would be an evaluation of the city's ethics and fraud policies. In your staff analysis is a lot of evidence of some ethics and fraud things, clearly not the purview of we are not a commission on ethics. I think a lot of the things found will end up getting referred to the commission on ethics. But again, that's city of 38,000. Everyone knows everyone. You can read it in there. I'm not going to read it in the report. But the Auditor General should have an evaluation of the city's ethics policies to make sure they don't run afoul of the states and that they're all included. And so those are the 6 things, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. And are all of your constituents' concerns covered by those? Just for their knowledge. For their knowledge, the ones that have been brought to my attention as we drafted this so far have. I will tell you that once this hit the agenda, then the phones light up and go, well, let me tell you about meat. Settle down. We will get there. I think we would let the Auditor General do their job, and whatever they uncover, they uncover. Should we find more, we can dig into that. But these were the main ones as they were originally presented, and yes, they cover all of them. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Co-Chair. Any other questions? So a little self-serving on behalf of Senator Broder clip to take for everyone at home watching to take back and is just easily to forward to people. To be clear, the Auditor General does not have enforcement authority yet, maybe until this committee's done, right now. So as it's specified in the Auditing Committee memo, referrals are made to the appropriate agency if something is suspected, discovered, or considered. Just to be clear for those watching, this isn't an Inspector General, this isn't the Attorney General, this is the Auditor General. This is following the cash flow. You know, where's the money going, where are the contracts that are made. So if you see one of these fine folks down there and they're doing an investigation or they appear somewhere or someone says, that's them right there, please do not go up to these people and ask, you know, when are they going to make arrests or try to give them information, all that stuff. The proper channel is to do it through us. And to your point, you weren't exaggerating. I think it was 275 to 290 pages. We got all of it. We got all the emails. We continue to get them, and we're doing better than has been done before, and will be a lot faster and a lot more efficient. So those concerns will be addressed. Any other questions on this?
I got one.
Sure.
Senator Broder, I was just curious with regards to the wastewater dump in that pond. Are there homes in that vicinity of that pond, and was anybody made ill as a result of that?
Thank you for the question. The Department of Environmental Protection found that the wastewater dump contained fecal coliform and suspended solids, so it's just pure sewage. The fish kill happened. It was near residences' homes.
There are some who have made warranties and representations to me that it caused, but I don't have any medical evidence that it did. A lot of families switched immediately to bottled water, and those medical issues seemed to go away. Whether that was coincidence or causative, I can't make the judgment. But certainly, folks felt like that was an issue for them.
Okay, we have Mr. Kevin McCann. Mayor Kevin McCann is present and wishes to speak. Mayor, my understanding is you make your way up. The microphone's on the bottom left of the neck, but I think you were just recently elected.
I am.
November of 22.
I am a new guy.
And your opponent, Caruso, is no relation to Representative Mike Caruso here, so this is not a vendetta.
No.
But
I hope not. I hope not.
I use it as an example because when you get a letter on letterhead from a state agency, you're like, what's going on? I didn't do anything wrong. So I want everybody to know that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Mayor.
Well, I am a new guy, and this is a bit overwhelming that a resident like myself that served my community. I was actually appointed to finish the last term of a guy and then rolled right into an election where I won and served my community. I am discouraged in a number of ways. First of all, that I found out about this hearing 36 hours ago when a reporter called me, and then a paid political activist was on the news that evening, that Tuesday night, basically reading verbatim everything that he wrote to the senator, word for word. Good senator, I appreciate your work for our community, but I think you've been misinformed. It was only 24 hours ago, or less than 24 hours ago, at about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon when the agenda packet was released. Our cities knew nothing about this. We've had no way of responding, no way of putting paperwork together, no way of addressing this. How about a phone call? Simply reach out to us. We're an open book. We've had audits. The Department of Environmental Protection has everything in writing. They can answer your questions. If a former county commissioner comes to us with, mind-boggling 80 hours worth of work, yes, we have the right to charge him that 10 cents a page or a nickel a page or whatever when he asks for it. If he's asking for something that's going to absolutely lock down our staff, and we have the smallest staff per capita. We have the smallest millage rate in our region. We run a tight ship. We can't turn around and do that without when it's, quite frankly, harassment. These are paid political operatives that are putting this stuff forward.
Mayor, let me ask you a question. Can I ask you one quick question? And you can have all the time you want. Let me ask you a quick question.
Okay.
You're brand new. You just got elected in November.
Sure.
Do you want to stand here before this committee and assume all responsibility for all of the acts of every contract and every performance of everybody before you got there? I don't think you do, right?
Sure.
It's not fair to you. It's not fair to you. And what I'm trying to convey is this is not an accusation of you, of your work, of your public service, of any of that.
It is, as a matter of fact, because the gentleman that wrote this brief for you guys completely continues to call for my resignation. He is hostile against it. So we have a different view of our city. We are a bedroom community. We are 90% residential. We have very active residents. They are very loud. They're very active. And we attempt to respond to our residents. We really are. We're responsive to our residents. That's who they're the boss, not me. I work for them. We've got a lot of things to be proud of. Our audits, we're currently just, as is custom, we just changed auditors. For this year, we're using Purvis Gray. We've used others before. In the briefing, it says no recommendations were found. That's suspect, that no recommendations are found. Again, lowest millage rate, the lowest expenditures per capita in the region. I mean, we're financially sound. They won't find anything there. Those audits are already done. The work with the Department of Environmental Protection and their recommendations, there was a 100,000-gallon treated wastewater spill. It was treated. And it did cause a fish kill. It did. pH balances, things can still go off. Bringing this to light without allowing us to simply answer your questions and doing this 18-month thing that's going to be released just before the next election,
Mayor,
it's disturbing.
Mayor, let me stop you there.
Yeah.
I don't know you.
Yeah.
But if you Google me, you'll find I don't care about elections.
Yeah.
I don't know who knows who's related to who's got it out for. So that's not why I was appointed to this committee to be chair. It's probably why I was appointed to be committee this year, because I don't care about any of that stuff.
Okay, then I'll move on.
I don't want to be dismissive, but I want to be very clear for you and 411 other municipalities that are finding out real fast that we're just following the flow of funds, and eventually it's about everybody's turn on the wheel. Now, vendettas come out. It shows later on that it was completely unfounded. It was ridiculous. And you should sit here and demand from us that the same intensity that's gone to besmirch your good name in your city will be matched only by the apologies that follow when no wrongdoing is found, and in a timely fashion before your next election. And I have my cell phone number here with my card, so the next time you get a phone call from a reporter, you can direct them to me, and I will tell them that until that audit comes back, no one should make an allegation about your performance or your public service.
Folks, you're putting us in a position where all I'm asking, again, the ask is give us an opportunity to respond. Finding out and reading the briefing less than 24 hours ago, although it may not be required, it would be a professional courtesy and would have been expected.
Mr. Mayor, do you assert that those things and the items listed in the briefing are not correct?
Overwhelmingly.
Totally false?
Overwhelmingly. Factually inaccurate.
Factually false.
False.
Okay.
And that we have the chance to provide you with the reports. Listen,
But you did just say that there was a $100,000 wastewater.
Yes,
dump.
but can I finish the sentence?
100,000 gallon wastewater dump.
There were hundreds of spills similar to that in Seminole County last year. Hundreds.
We're here to talk about your city.
But what's happening is that the real problem here is Seminole County's had some issues. And we're really, believe it or not, when I got the reason I was chosen to become the mayor is that there is a great deal of hostility and things going back in small towns. As the good senator's correct, that people infighting. I have that reputation of sitting down with both sides and trying to work out some real moderation. I listen to everyone. That's how I ended up in the mayor's seat. Because they all have genuine concerns. They're still residents and they have the right to be heard. But at the same time, when things go beyond, but when we start having now in front of the media to explain to them the 100,000 gallons of treated wastewater, our sister city, since Hurricane Ian, has dumped tens of millions of pure untreated waste into the environment. And that's how... That does not serve our residents. It doesn't serve Seminole County. It does not serve the state. When that's how we have to go back and discourage this kind of stuff.
And we appreciate that what's going on in Seminole County, but we're here to talk about Winter Springs.
Okay.
And the senator, the honorable senator over here is telling me that there was the DEP report that said there's solid fecal matter in the water, and that doesn't sound like treated wastewater to me.
I'd like to see that report. I've read through them. I've never seen anything like that. Doesn't mean that the good senator's right or wrong. I'm not saying that. I've never heard that. I know that it was treated. It was not untreated wastewater. Can there be trace amounts in treated wastewater? I'm not a wastewater.
Solid fecal matter. That's pretty big.
I'd like to see that.
Mr. Mayor, we're going to follow all the rules and procedures that we have before us and that are available. But I will make you, and I think the members here will join me in this sentiment. If there's a faster way to get to the truth or the answer or resolution, we're all for it.
Simply let us respond.
Right. So I make that commitment to you. We've been making a number of notes of how we're going to change things going forward. Oh, good to see you, Rep. Alvarez. You're late. I'm joking. But there's a number of suggestions, recommendations that we're taking. So apparently the Tallahassee people up here are not used to this committee doing anything.
Yeah, I noticed there was one operational
the past
municipal thing.
The past couple of weeks have been interesting. Okay, a lot of people coming out of the woodwork over the past couple of weeks. So what we're trying to do is, and I was just conveying, and I think you overheard me when I was here, when you first got here, we have a city, Opelika, that's been under review for 7 years. Okay, it's too long. So 18 months to me, I hope before the good Lord takes me or I'm off this committee that we narrow 18 months maybe down to 6 months and give the resources necessary. Here's my commitment to you, sir. I'm a really fair person, but I'm an impatient optimist. If in the interim, while this is in its normal course, there's a way to resolve the issue and provide the information in 2 weeks or 2 months, I'm all for it. Okay? I'll make that commitment to you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Mr. Chair.
Rep. Benjamin.
I'm curious. You say that you didn't have enough time to respond here today. How much time are you asking us in order to respond?
More than 24 hours. Can I have 2 weeks to give you every bit of documentation and respond to each line by line by line and factually show that much of this information written by a man who's a campaign chairman for many.
Mayor, how long ago did the former county commissioner ask you for this information?
He's done it repeatedly. At my knowledge, I would say that the last request for thousands of pages was 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And we simply provided him with the state statutes.
So
that,
if I
okay,
ask for the same thousands and thousands of pages, you're going to charge me?
I think under this circumstance, we're going to bend over backwards to give you everything that you ask for. I think that what we'd like to do is simply respond to each line item in this document.
Mayor, we're going to move forward with this process, and we're absolutely amenable. We're not foreclosing the ability to do something else, but we're going to follow the procedures that we have, not all of which I'm crazy about. Rep. Alvarez?
Mr. Chair, is there any reason that the mayor can't just answer it and send it to us anyways while we move forward with our procedures?
Well, I'm going to defer to Kathy, but there's going to be public records information. Are you seeking to redact some information, I would imagine, or you're worried about the labor-intensive quality of having to pour through?
I don't want it. We're sidetracking on one political operative, a former county commissioner, is asking.
Mayor, I'm going to say for the third time and the last time, I don't know who I don't know the guy. The guy you're talking about could kick me in the face right now. I'd have no idea who he is, and I don't care. I have a colleague in the Florida Senate, the upper chamber, the third largest state in the country, who asked that his hometown just take a look at it. An 18-month academic look at the financials, and I'm agreeing to it and voting for it. But if there's a better, more efficient way, I think he's amenable to it. I surely am, and that's it. I'm not going to say it again. Okay?
I'm not exactly sure. I think there's a misunderstanding, but that's okay.
Okay.
Move forward.
Rep, anything else? Okay. Senator, go ahead.
Public comment over? I was going to close on the.
Sure. Yeah. Mayor, you're gonna get a real fair shake here. I promise you. Okay.
I must say, and as I walk away, then this body has a great deal of really valuable work to do. I must say, in my personal opinion, I'm not speaking for the city at this point, but this is a pure weaponizing of this committee. And I apologize. I know that you don't agree, and we can agree to disagree,
Mayor,
gentlemen.
Mr. McCann, let me tell you this. If I was a homicide prosecutor, I used to go after people that shot and killed kids, okay? If somebody's screwing with you individually, if this is a vendetta, we're going to find out. Rep. Caruso and I drove 300 miles the other day, early morning, to go pop in a surprise visit on a special district that was just hanging out around the table, collecting $250,000 a year, okay? If somebody's out to get you, I'll get them. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying. I have.
If you have larceny in your heart, you're going to hate me. If you don't, you're going to love me. Okay?
I'm a volunteer, sir.
There you go.
And that's it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
And if I could add, Mayor, this gives you a chance to start with a clean slate, where you going forward and put the past, it's not me. Here's the results.
Is there anything further? Senator Brewer, do you want to go ahead?
He needs to close.
Yeah, and to be fair to the mayor, I agree with him in that I just want to get to the bottom of it. If some of this stuff is untrue, I want to say an independent third party came in and we looked at it and it's not true, so go pound sand. But if it is true, we want a corrective action plan. If you look at the DEP versus the City of Winter Springs consent order on the discharge, it's in your packet. Suspended solids, fecal coliform. It's right there. There's a lot of finger pointing back home. I don't care. Somebody needs to go in and just say this is the truth that we see is an independent audit. As far as the time frame, I don't know what there would be to respond to. The audit itself is going to be the response. So there's nothing to respond to of this that wouldn't have us move forward anyway. And so there is more than ample enough time to respond, and you'll be responding to an independent third-party auditor, not anybody who's got a political vendetta, not anybody who's met you before, not anybody who knows anything other than Florida State municipal policy and code. And that's what I'd like, is just somebody to go in and say, that's right, that's wrong, that's right. Now everyone cool it out. We're done. Thank you.
And I know the Auditor General would welcome just handing over as much as possible, which would expedite that process. That makes sense. I'm going to call on Rep. Hart for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the committee direct the Auditor General to perform an operational audit of the City of Winter Springs. The Auditor General, pursuant to the authority provided in Section 11.453 Florida statutes, shall finalize the scope of the audit during the course of the audit, providing that the audit-related concerns of Senator Broder, as included in his request letter and in the staff analysis, are considered.
Okay, are there any questions? We have debate? Okay. Connie, we're going to call the roll.
Representative Alvarez. Representative Benjamin.
Yes.
Senator Brodeur. Senator Davis.
Yes.
Representative Peggy Gossett Seidman.
Yes.
Representative Hart.
Yes.
Representative Lopez.
Yes.
Representative Caruso.
Yes.
And Senator Pizzo.
Yes, and by your motion, it is adopted. Just a note that joint rules require a majority vote.